6 p.m. That was the line in my head. 6 p.m. I watched the clock, hoping nothing would go wrong. The backyard was ready. 60 chairs. I counted them twice because I didn't trust myself. Rented tables lined up straight, even though no one but me would notice. The food was still hot. That smell, warm bread and something sweet kept drifting back toward the house. Like it was reminding me I'd already committed. This was my granddaughter's graduation party. In my backyard. Not fancy. Not embarrassing either. Just real. The kind of thing people used to do before everything turned into a photo shoot. I kept checking my phone. No messages. That part should have told me something. Honestly, my daughter always had notes. Corrections. Suggestions. Usually about how things looked. I tried to calm down. Though I knew I was overthinking, I overthink. Then pretend I'm chill. Then act surprised when I'm not. My name is Marin Caldwell. I am 62. I pulled a tray out of the oven and burned my thumb a little. Swore under my breath. Ran it under cold water. Normal stuff. Grounding stuff. I liked being busy. Busy meant I didn't have to imagine empty chairs. 6 p.m. came anyway. Of course it did. I wiped my hands on my jeans and looked toward the gate, already rehearsing a smile I wasn't sure I believed in. If you've ever waited for someone who promised to show up early, you know that tight feeling right here. Yeah, that one. Her car rolled in slow. She was alone. She didn't come all the way in. Stopped at the gate like there was an invisible line she didn't want to cross. Marin, she started, using my name the way people do when they're bracing themselves. Her eyes kept flicking past me, counting things. Chairs, tables, the food. I waited. I always wait too long. We decided to move the party. She went on. Quick, clipped. There's a reservation downtown. Better place. Cleaner look. I nodded once. I don't know why. Reflex, maybe. She checked her phone, then looked back up. This isn't personal. It's just optics. My co-workers are coming. Her future matters. I told her the guests were already on their way, that some of them don't check their phones much, that we agreed on this plan months ago. She shifted her weight. I texted everyone an hour ago. Most of them confirmed. It's handled. Handled. Like a spill. I took a step closer. She stepped back. That part landed harder than the words. Then she finally said it. Like she'd practiced in the car. Mom, we don't need you anymore. No pause, no softness, just a clean cut. She added, quieter. This backyard thing makes us look small. Us, not me. I told her the food was already done, that it was for her daughter, that I'd been up since dawn. She lifted her hands, palms out. Please don't make this harder. If you want, you can come by later. Maybe change first. Change first. Like I smelled wrong. Her car door closed before I thought of anything worth throwing at her. The engine started. Gravel crunched. I stood there, hands empty, watching the taillights fade, feeling something click shut in my chest. Not anger, not yet. Just the sound of 60 chairs behind me, waiting for people who'd already been sent somewhere else. I stayed where I was for a minute after her car disappeared, long enough to realize she wasn't coming back. Not to help, not to explain, not to check on anything she'd just bulldozed. The first neighbor showed up 10 minutes later. Mrs. Harlan from 2 houses down. She walked in smiling, holding a card like she was early on purpose. Oh, she went, slowing when she saw the space. Am I too soon? I told her they'd moved the party downtown. She blinked. I didn't see a message. I know. She looked around again. The chairs, the tables, the food nobody was touching yet, but he was. Then she squeezed my arm, the way people do when they don't know what else to do, and left without another word. A couple more drifted in like that. Confused, apologetic. One guy asked if he had the wrong address. Another neighbor muttered something about phones and walked back out. Embarrassed on my behalf, my phone buzzed once. Then again, I didn't check it. I already knew what it would be. Explanations, softened edges. Maybe a "we'll talk later." I carried a tray from one table to another just to stay upright. The food smelled too real, like effort, like time I couldn't get back. I pulled my phone out anyway. My daughter's name sat there, glowing, thumb hovering. This is the part where you fix it, right? Smooth it over. Say you understand even when you don't. I've done that my whole life, but I didn't press call. If you've ever stood there holding a phone, knowing the next move would shrink you a little more, you know exactly why. Instead, I lined the chairs up again, all 60 of them. Straightened what didn't need straightening. Let the quiet settle without rushing to fill it. Someone else came by the gate. A friend of my granddaughter's. Hair half done, dress still in a garment bag. They told us to go downtown, she said, voice low. I didn't know you weren't included. Included? That word stuck. I told her it was fine, that plans change. She nodded like she didn't believe me, then left too. When the yard finally went still, I counted the chairs again. Not because I forgot the number, because I needed something solid to look at while I decided what I wasn't going to do next. I didn't sit down. Sitting felt dangerous. Like if I did, I might not get back up. I started counting. Not feelings, things. 6 trays of food, 2 still warm, 4 holding on. 60 plates stacked in tens. Bread enough for a small army. Time maybe 3 hours before it all turned into waste. That part mattered. I hate waste more than I hate being embarrassed. Always have. My phone buzzed again. I flipped it face down. I wasn't ready to hear anything that tried to sound reasonable. I opened the drawer by the fridge. The messy one. Flyers, rubber bands, old receipts. I found the paper I was looking for without meaning to. A wrinkled handout from years back. Community kitchen fundraiser. A phone number in blue ink. I remembered the woman who'd handed it to me. Warm handshake. Straight talk. I stared at the number longer than I needed to. This wasn't a grand idea, it was a practical one. Food, people, time. That's all it was. I burned my thumb again, pulling a tray closer. Swore, shook my hand, kept going. There's this moment, maybe you've had it, where you realize crying won't change the math. I wasn't brave. I was cornered. I punched the number in, then deleted it, then typed it again. My hands felt steady, which surprised me. When the call connected, I didn't explain myself. I don't do speeches when I'm close to breaking. Hi, I started. This is Marin Caldwell. I have food for 60. It's ready now. Can you use it? A pause. A breath on the other end. Yes, the woman replied. We can. I leaned against the counter, eyes on the chairs through the window, and nodded to myself like the decision had already been made. The woman on the line asked a few practical things. How much food? How fast it needed to move. Where I was. I told her the truth. It's already cooked. I've got maybe 3 hours. She didn't waste time pretending this was heroic. We can bring whoever's here now. 2 vans. Not everyone. Is that okay? Bring whoever you can. I told her, I'll make it work. She warned me they'd need help unloading. I looked at my hands. Still clean somehow. And laughed once. I've got hands. I'll find more. When I hung up, my phone buzzed again. My daughter this time. I didn't open it. If I read it, I'd start explaining. I wasn't doing that tonight. I texted 2 neighbors. Short messages. No backstory. Just need help. Food won't last. Come if you can. One replied with a thumbs up. The other just wrote, on my way. I pulled chairs closer together. Not all 60. No point pretending. I left some where they were, proof of what had been planned, proof I didn't imagine it. A knock came at the gate. A man in a faded jacket, early 40s maybe, glanced past me like he was checking for a catch. "You Marin?" he asked. "That's me. I'm Ben. Volunteer." He held up a clipboard, then lowered it like it didn't matter. "We'll need 10 minutes. Behind him, the first van rolled in, tires crunching, doors opening, real noise boom, real people. Another neighbor showed up, then another. No speeches, just movement. Carrying trays, clearing space. Someone asked where to put the bread. Someone else asked if kids could sit together. I felt my shoulders drop without asking them to. More vans came. Not full, enough. As people filtered in. Nobody asked why this was happening. Nobody asked where my family was. They took plates. They thanked me. They made room. I caught my reflection in the window for a second. Hair a mess. Shirt stained. Still standing. Whatever my daughter had planned for tonight, it wasn't this. And somehow, that felt fine. People didn't arrive all at once. They trickled. 2 kids first, hanging back like they expected to be chased off. A woman followed, eyes sharp, scanning exits. Ben waved them in without talking it up. "Plates here," he told them, pointing. "You're good." That tone mattered. Not charity, just instructions. An older man shuffled toward the table, sniffed the air, then looked straight at me. "This smells like someone cared," he muttered. Not a compliment, a fact. I handed him a plate. Our fingers brushed. He nodded once and moved on. A volunteer with a braid asked if the kids could sit together. I slid chairs without counting this time. A teenager hovered near the bread, pretending not to be hungry. I tore a roll in half and set it next to him. He didn't look at me, but it disappeared. Someone laughed. Not loud. Real. Another voice joined. Then 2. The yard filled up in a way I hadn't planned for. No speeches. No toasts. No one asking where the photos were going. A woman with tired eyes caught me watching and tilted her head. "You okay?" "I am," I told her, surprised that it was true. She leaned in. "This beats the shelter line," she added. Low. "Don't tell anyone." "I won't." Mrs. Harlan came back through the gate with a stack of napkins. "Figured you'd need these," she offered. No pity, just help. I checked my phone out of habit. No messages I wanted. I slid it back into my pocket and stayed where I was. Here's the thing. This is where I'm supposed to crack, right? Big feelings, tears, closure. I didn't. I just kept moving. Plates, chairs, names I didn't try to remember and didn't need to. A volunteer snapped a photo of the kids eating cake. Not staged, just messy smiles and frosting. She asked if it was okay to post. I shrugged. Do what you do. As the sky darkened, someone turned on music from a phone. Too loud at first, then fine. I caught myself smiling without checking who might be watching. Whatever my daughter wanted tonight, it wasn't this, and whatever this was becoming, it didn't need permission. I didn't see the restaurant, not then. I learned about it later, in pieces. What I saw that night was a phone screen lighting up near the drinks table. The volunteer with the braid tilted it toward Ben. He glanced, then over at me. "Hey," he started. "Careful. Just so you know, someone shared the photo." "What photo?" "The kids with the cake." "The shelter page." I shrugged. "Okay." He hesitated. "It's getting comments. I didn't ask what kind. I didn't need to. Around us. People were eating. Talking. One woman asked if she could take leftovers for tomorrow. I packed them without thinking. Across town, my daughter was doing what she does best. Smiling on command. Holding a glass just right. Making sure the lighting didn't catch anything she couldn't control. Someone toasted her daughter's future. Someone else leaned in for a photo. The kind where everyone looks thin and successful. Back in my yard, Mrs. Harlan leaned over. Your granddaughter's friend tagged her. She mentioned, not whispering, on that post. I froze for half a second. Then I kept folding napkins. Ben checked his phone again. It's spreading locally. He added, nothing crazy? Just people talking. Talking was fine. Talking meant it wasn't mine anymore. I finally looked at my phone. Notifications stacked. Names I hadn't heard in years. One message preview stood out. My granddaughter's name. No text yet. Just the typing dots. Then gone. I slipped the phone back into my pocket. Whatever version of tonight my daughter had chosen, it was already rubbing up against another one, and neither of us was in charge of how that collision would look in the morning. I didn't sleep much, not from crying, from that wired feeling like your body knows something's coming before your brain catches up. By morning, my phone was already warm, notifications stacked. I didn't open them right away. I made coffee, burned it. Drank it anyway. The first message I read wasn't my daughter's. It was my granddaughter. Grandma, are you okay? That was it. No emojis. No filler. I stared at the words longer than I should have. My fingers hovered. I typed. Erased. Typed again. I'm okay. I wrote. Did you have fun last night? The reply came fast. It was fine. Then, a pause. I didn't know you weren't coming. I felt that one land, quiet, heavy. Around noon, my daughter finally called. I let it ring once, twice, then answered. You let them post that. She opened with, not a greeting, not concern. I didn't stop them. I replied. My voice sounded steady, which surprised me. You know how that looks. She pushed on. People are asking questions. People ask questions. I told her, that's normal. She exhaled hard. This was supposed to be private. It wasn't. I said, it was a backyard. She went quiet. I could hear traffic on her end. A car door slam. Her world moving fast, like always. Why would you do this? She tried again. Different angle. I fed people. I answered. That's it. She shifted tactics. My co-workers saw it. My boss commented. Did he? I muttered. That part was new, yes. He wrote something about community. About values. Her voice dropped. It made things awkward. I leaned against the counter. The same spot as last night. I didn't tag you. That's not the point. It kind of is. Another silence. Thicker this time. Here's the thing I could have explained. I could have softened it. I could have apologized for embarrassing her. I didn't. I stayed where I was. Before she hung up, she added, quieter. We need to talk. I'm around, I replied. Just not downtown. After the call. My granddaughter texted again. A photo this time. The cake from my yard. Frosting smeared. A simple line underneath. I liked this one better. I set the phone down and let that sit. Not as a victory. Not as proof. Just as something real that had finally surfaced. Whether anyone was ready for it or not. She came by in the afternoon. No warning, Soskisi. Just her car pulling up like this was still her house too. I didn't rush. I finished rinsing a pan. Dried my hands. When I opened the door, she was already halfway through a sentence. This blew up more than I expected. I stepped aside and let her in. That was the first mistake. Or maybe the last polite one. She stayed standing. Bag still on her shoulder. Phone in her hand like a shield. I never meant for you to feel pushed out. She added. You know that. I nodded once. Not agreement. Just acknowledgement. She kept going. It was about optics. You don't get how things work where I am. Clients, leadership, perception. I ran a business for 30 years, I replied. I get perception. That's different. She pushed back. This is corporate. It's competitive. I leaned on the counter. Same spot. So was feeding 4 kids alone after your father left. Her jaw tightened. She hated when I went there. I'm not saying you did anything wrong. She adjusted. I'm saying the timing wasn't right. The timing was 6 in the evening. I answered. That part was clear. She sighed. Long, practiced. You're taking this personally. I laughed once. Short. You canceled me. Not the party. That's dramatic. No, I corrected. That's accurate. She set her bag down hard. I didn't erase you. I looked at her then. Really looked. The heels, the jacket she only wore for meetings, the distance in her eyes. You didn't cancel a party, I told her. You tried to erase me. Her mouth opened. Closed. She tried another route. I was protecting my daughter. So was I. She needed a clean slate. She needed family. She rubbed her forehead. Why can't you just accept that things change? I did. I replied. That's why I adapted. She scoffed. By turning my mistake into a public moment, I fed people. I repeated. You made it public when you panicked about comments. That landed. I saw it. She picked up her bag again. I came here to clear the air. You came to explain yourself? I replied. Those aren't the same. Silence stretched. Not explosive. Worse. Flat. I'm sorry you felt hurt. She finally offered. There it was. Thin. Careful. Useless. I nodded again. This time. Final. I hear you. She waited. For forgiveness. For comfort. For the version of me that filled gaps. I didn't move. When she left, the house didn't feel empty. It felt rearranged. Like something heavy had finally been set down. Even if it cracked the floor underneath. Chapter 10. What she lost. What I kept. I didn't block her number. I just stopped reaching for it. That was the boundary. Quiet. Boring. Effective. A week later, she texted. Something practical. She needed the folding tables back. A vendor question. Like nothing happened. They're already gone, I replied. I donated them. A pause. Then, you didn't ask me. They weren't yours, I typed. That was it. She showed up once more after that, this time with coffee. Peace offering energy. She talked about schedules, about how busy things were getting, about how we should reset. I don't have the bandwidth, I told her. For what? For pretending, I said. For waiting to be useful again. She stared at me like I'd switched languages. I'm still your mother, I added. That doesn't mean I'm on standby. She left without yelling, without slamming the door, which somehow felt heavier. Here's the part nobody likes to hear. I didn't win. She didn't lose everything. Life didn't clap. What changed was smaller. I stopped offering my time like it was unlimited. I moved my energy where it landed clean. The shelter, the women who showed up early and stayed late. My granddaughter, when she texted without an agenda, there's a lesson in that. Not the loud kind, the kind that sits with you. Being needed isn't the same as being loved. And being loved doesn't mean being available for disrespect. If this story hit close, hit the like button. Leave a comment. Tell me where you're listening from, or who this reminded you of. Someone else might need to hear they're not crazy. As for me, I kept my name, my work, my sense of timing, and I didn't give any of that back.